once again, Weekend Update with Chevy Chase.
Thank you.
Chevy Chase, the father of SNL, a pioneer of slapstick comedy, pratfalls, and stand-up routines. Considered the funniest man in America and the next heir to Johnny Carson, how did this beloved comedian and movie star turn from an A-list celebrity into a grade A asshole? Follow me as we take a deep dive into the troubled life of one of Hollywood's most entitled and pretentious stars. This is the story of Cornelius Crane, or Chevy Chase, was born on October 8th, 1943, in Lower Manhattan. Chase's life as a child was not very remarkable, other than the fact that he was related to the Vanderbilt family. Yep, that Vanderbilt family. He would spend his summers vacationing in a castle outside the city, and since a young age, Chevy was destined to be a comedian, or class clown, some might say. Chase went on to study at Riverdale Prep School before being kicked out for being a jokester. Chase had brought a cow to campus and put it on the roof of a building.
Oh, into a building?
No.
Is that not true?
No, that's an old...
That's not true?
No, I wasn't kicked out. I was asked to leave for a year and to come back after either seeing a shrink or going to another college.
Chevy would eventually graduate from Stockbridge School after garnering more of a reputation for being a prankster with the occasional mean streak. Chevy would later evade the draft for the war by falsely claiming, among other things, that he had homosexual tendencies. Chevy's big break was in 1973 when he landed a writing job for the radio show National Lampoon. Through National Lampoon, Chase began to gain notoriety in the comedy world, and soon this would land him his biggest job yet, and the one that would propel him from standard comedian to comic legend. In 1975, Chevy Chase, along with a few other comedians, were the first cast of SNL. They were also known as the Not Ready for Primetime Players. This list of comedians includes John Belushi, Dan Aykroyd, Jane Curtin, and plenty others. Chase would go on to coin the phrase,
"Live from Burbank and New York, it's Saturday night."
Chase quickly garnered a following with his hilarious sketches like Weekend Update, physical comedy, and catchphrases like,
Good evening, I'm Chevy Chase.
and also go on to win 2 Emmys and a Golden Globe. In 1975, New York Magazine called him the funniest man in America. NBC executives referred to Chase as the first real potential successor to Johnny Carson. In the middle of the second season of SNL, Chase abruptly left the show to go and pursue other bigger and better films and TV shows. Chevy was then replaced with Bill Murray. By leaving SNL the way he did, Chevy burned many bridges in the TV world. Lorne Michaels, the creator of SNL, felt betrayed by Chevy. Chevy was a scumbag the way he left, one of the writers on SNL said, deceitful and dishonest about the whole thing. When staff writer Tom Davis asked why he was leaving, Chevy said, money. Lots of money. It's not like his time on the show was much better. Chevy was also known as a viciously effective put-down artist, the sort who would find the one thing somebody was sensitive about, a pimple on the nose perhaps, and then kid about it, mercilessly. In meetings, he'd smirk at writer suggestions and say, gee, I don't think that's very good at all. Chase would go on to have a pretty successful career for the next few years before coming back to SNL to host an episode in February 1978. It was Bill Murray, Chase's replacement, who clashed hardest with the former star. After a tense week of rehearsals, Murray told Chase that everyone hated him. Murray also told Chase to go home and f*** his wife. Chase looked like something Neil Armstrong had landed on, and the two eventually started throwing hands and fighting backstage. When asked about the fight, Chase went on to say that he grew up on the edge of East Harlem and he was no stranger to fistfights. Right, says the guy who vacationed in a literal castle every single summer. Chase would go on to star in a bunch of movies, such as National Lampoon's Holiday Vacation, Caddyshack, Fletch, Foul Play, National Lampoon Christmas Vacation, and more. When Chase returned to host SNL in '85, his mean streak continued, and he would go on to piss off nearly everyone in the cast. He poked fun at Robert Downey Jr., saying, "Didn't your father used to be a successful director? Whatever happened to him? Boy, he sure died. You know, he sure went to hell," and was hateful to Terry Sweeney, SNL's first openly gay cast member, and suggested a sketch where they weighed him every week to see if he had AIDS. Chase would also infuriate the cast during the 96-97 season, where it was described as a car accident over and over again, just watching him deal with people. According to Will Ferrell, Chase was a little snobbish and prone to screaming at people. At that show's first meeting, he told a female writer, "Maybe you can give me a hand job later." Chase would stay out of the limelight for a few years after this until his roast in 2002, where it was apparent that nobody liked him.
He's Chevy Chase, and you're not. And if that doesn't cheer you up,
I don't know what will.
After taking the roast to heart, Chevy seemingly disappeared from the mainstream media. That was until 2009, where Chase would take up the persona of Pierce Hawthorne in the cult TV show Community. Dan Harmon, creator of Community, as well as Rick and Morty, is not the easiest of people to work with. A self-proclaimed asshole, Harmon knows he has a large ego and has repeatedly been in trouble for it. But seemingly from the get-go, he and Chevy seem to be at odds with each other. Whether it was the parallels between Pierce and Chase, both being washed-up men at the end of their life, not letting go of the bitterness they hold for the world and the outdated humor they had, Harmon found that Chase had difficulty working in an ensemble cast. Quote, "I think he felt like he was wilting away inside." The director speculated, adding that Chase felt like it was symptomatic of some kind of a twilight from him. Co-star Joel McHale said that Chase was resistant to the single camera style of the show.
He was someone that did not want to be there for the hours that we were keeping. And the hours were long. There was no doubt about that. The hours were the hours because we were shooting a movie every week. It wasn't, documentary style or anything like that, except for one episode.
Harmon gave a very public you to Chase at a party in front of his wife and daughter and leaked a profane voicemail that Chevy had left for him.
And your writing is getting worse and worse, so stop that.
Harmon's apologized, saying, "I'm a selfish baby and a rude asshole and not a person to trust with your feelings." Chase would often leave the set early, forcing everyone to shoot around him. Harmon claims that Chase would not understand why certain scenes were funny and decide he didn't want to do it and walk away. Now, Chevy didn't only argue with Harmon, he also made jabs at his other co-stars, including Allison Brie, Yvette Brown, and Donald Glover, even going as far to tell Donald Glover that people only think he's funny because he's black. All of this would eventually build up to Chase leaving the show halfway through season 4 and being killed off in season 5 with a hilarious episode titled Cooperative Polygraphy.
Jeff Winger, did you know you're gay?
No.
Agree to disagree. To you, I leave this bottle of fine scotch so that you're less tempted to drink this cylinder of even finer sperm.
Chase would disappear once again from media for a few more years. Chase now lives out his days in his home in Massachusetts and is still bitter to this day about how he felt he was unjustly treated in the world of comedy. Bill Murray once said, "The truth is, anybody that becomes famous is an ass for a year and a half. You've got to give them a year and a half, 2 years. They're getting so much smoke blown and their whole world gets so turned upside down. Their responses become distorted. I give everybody a year or two to pull it together." And the sad part is, Chevy Chase never pulled himself out of it and has faded into the zeitgeist of comedy from an ancient era.